Hello, welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. We continue today with the newest Spongebob movie that was originally supposed to come out in theaters, but got delayed due to COVID, just like many other movies, and it was released on CBS All Access, which became Paramount Plus on March 11th. You can see my SpongeBob Justice League shirt, as I will also soon be releasing the review for Justice League the Snyder Cut. But on to SpongeBob. So SpongeBob's been on for about 20 years. They've had 2 other movies previously, and this is the newest movie. Now what's interesting is each movie has been different types of animation styles. The original SpongeBob movie was classic hand-drawn animation. The second one was more 3-dimensional CG mixed with live action, and then this newest movie, SpongeBob SquarePants Sponge on the Run, is another type of 3D animation. Now, first of all, this movie looks beautiful. Now, the plot of this movie is Gary goes missing because King Neptune uses snails as an anti-aging cream to keep him younger, and so he finds Gary because he wanders away, so they have to find him. So that causes SpongeBob to go missing with Patrick to look for Gary, and the Krusty Krab doesn't do that well because it was always about SpongeBob and not about the secret formula. So Plankton also gets this secret formula and takes over the Krusty Krab, but it's not the same because Mr. Krabs doesn't have it in him to try to stop Plankton anymore because SpongeBob is missing. Now, as what happens with a lot of kids' movies, it seems as if there's a lot of just random scenes of people being crazy or weird, and SpongeBob is no exception. Now, since the plot is very basic and involves just SpongeBob and Patrick looking for Gary, there's a lot of scenes that are just getting from one point to the next but doing random things. Now, there's a lot of good cameos in this movie, including Snoop Dogg, Danny Trejo, and of course Keanu Reeves plays a sage made out of sage. Now, he's in the movie most of all out of any other celebrity, and he's just hilarious. He reminds SpongeBob and Patrick to get back on track for their goal. There is a scene where they have to go to the lost city of Atlantic City because that's where King Neptune is. Now, King Neptune is voiced by Matt Berry, who did a voice in the previous SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Now, overall, I kind of get frustrated that these shows and movies kind of are made for people with ADD. But then again, I'm also a 31-year-old man reviewing a SpongeBob movie, so of course not everything is gonna be enjoyable to me. Now, I watched SpongeBob when it first came out, but I was also about 9 or 10 years old, so of course it's not gonna feel the same. And SpongeBob is of course normally a 30-minute program instead of an hour-and-a-half movie. Now, there's also something where SpongeBob at the end has to be saved, and Mr. Krabs, Sandy, and Squidward and Plankton go save SpongeBob. And they remember when they all met in camp, Camp Coral, in a flashback where they all met and they realized that they like SpongeBob more than they thought. And even though in the show, that's not how SpongeBob met everyone else. This is actually a backdoor pilot for another SpongeBob cartoon called Camp Coral, which is also going to be on Paramount Plus. But I guess continuity really doesn't matter in SpongeBob anyway. Now, even though I was kind of bored or annoyed at some parts of this movie, I could never take my eyes away because of the animation style. And I was just mesmerized by it. A very deep and rich colors. Now, there are a couple of good puns Squidward likes a singer called Kelpie G, like Kenny G, and some other things like that. Now, overall, like, SpongeBob isn't going anywhere. There's going to be another show about Patrick, I think. Now, Steve Hillenbrand, the creator, unfortunately died recently, and this movie had a tribute to him. Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie, I guess, especially if you're a kid. If you're an adult watching with your kids, you'll enjoy the cameos, I'm sure, and Keanu Reeves, and some of the other jokes that will go over kids' heads. Now, I'll probably give SpongeBob Sponge on the Run a 3 out of 5 because there were times where I felt myself looking at the clock trying to see when the movie would be over. My favorite parts were the Keanu Reeves, but a lot of the rest of it was just kind of like, alright, we're doing one random scene here, let's do another weird montage here to try to pad out the movie. Now, I don't remember if this movie was released in theaters, but I think it only went to Paramount Plus. But if you get Paramount Plus, you can watch it. If you're a SpongeBob fan, I guess I'd recommend it. Especially if you're an animation buff, definitely watch it. But, like I said, I am a 31-year-old man reviewing SpongeBob. It's not made for me. Of course, I grew up with it, but not everything feels the same once you're older. Now, out of the other SpongeBob movies, it does have the least amount of plot, because it's a lot of just random, colorful scenes. Alright, that's it for SpongeBob Sponge on the Run. I'm Scott Berger, and I'll see you next time.